Most traders don't lose because their strategy is broken, they lose because they enter before the setup is complete. The data is brutal. Retail traders place most losing trades before the pattern is ready. Emotional entries increase loss probability drastically. Blown accounts often begin with premature positions. The average losing position is opened during uncertainty, and impatience creates the highest percentage of unnecessary trades. This quiet disaster ruins accounts long before traders ever realize what actually hit them. Now the confusion sets in. If traders already know patience matters, why do they still jump early? Why does the brain push for action even when the chart clearly says, "Not yet"? Why does an almost setup suddenly look convincing? Why does the mind feel threatened during stillness? Something feels wrong, almost like your own thoughts are creating the trap before the market even moves. The truth is uncomfortable. Your mind hates uncertainty far more than it hates losing. Neuroscience shows that waiting activates the same stress circuits triggered by physical threats. So when you watch a chart move without you, your brain feels unsafe. Not financially unsafe, emotionally unsafe. It pressures you to act. It convinces you that doing nothing is dangerous. This is where the internal war begins, long before a trade is ever taken. Mark Douglas warned that traders fall into psychological traps before they fall into bad trades. Edward Sakota emphasized that survival is built on emotional stability, not market prediction. Jesse Livermore accumulated fortunes because he waited for clarity and lost them when he didn't. Alexander Elder taught that waiting is the real advantage. Jack Schwager documented that top traders don't care about taking many trades, they care about taking the right ones. Their message was never about strategy, it was about mastering patience. Yet most traders completely underestimate the power of waiting. They feel punished when the market is still. They feel like time is wasted. They feel like silence means missed opportunity. But silence isn't punishment. Silence is the test. Silence is the filter that separates the impulsive from the disciplined. And discipline always survives longer than excitement. Imagine watching a chart form. Nothing looks clean yet. The pattern isn't complete. The confirmation isn't there. But something inside your chest begins tightening. A strange emotional pull pushes you toward action. It whispers that you're wasting time, that you'll regret waiting, that something might happen without you. But that urge isn't insight. It's the brain trying to escape discomfort. It disguises emotional tension as opportunity. The market isn't misleading you. You're misleading yourself. Traders blame the chart, the candle, the setup. But the real problem hides in that quiet moment before the entry. The moment where waiting becomes uncomfortable. The moment where boredom feels like danger. The moment where your discipline is exposed. Pro traders approach that moment differently. They don't fight the urge with force. They reshape their identity. They see themselves as hunters, not chasers. Hunters don't react to movement. Hunters wait for precision. They interpret silence not as a threat, but as valuable information. They don't try to catch the market. They try to understand it. This is why the perfect setup isn't complicated. It doesn't need dozens of confirmations. It doesn't need noisy indicators. It only needs alignment. Market structure, momentum behavior, trend context, volatility conditions, liquidity zones, emotional readiness, all pointing in the same direction. When everything aligns, the trade doesn't feel forced. It feels obvious. But first, the market will test you. It will show almost patterns, early breakouts, half signals, tempting candles, movements that look meaningful but aren't. The market wants to know if you are driven by emotion or structure. Every time you ignore an almost setup, you strengthen your identity. You become the trader who waits, the trader who chooses precision over activity, the trader who doesn't confuse movement with opportunity. Something powerful happens when you wait long enough. The urgency fades, The noise calms. Your thinking slows down. The chart begins revealing patterns you couldn't see before. Market rhythm becomes visible. You shift from forcing trades to allowing trades. This shift is the beginning of emotional mastery. Brian Tracy's research on habit formation explains why this matters. Repeated behaviors shape identity. Identity shapes decision-making. When you practice waiting for full alignment, you aren't just developing a skill, you are rewiring your brain. You are teaching yourself to remain calm during uncertainty. You are conditioning your mind to stay balanced in uncomfortable silence. But waiting won't feel natural at first. Growth usually feels painful. There will be days where the chart moves without you and your mind screams that you missed everything. There will be moments where stillness feels like punishment. You will feel frustration, doubt, restlessness. These emotions are part of the transformation. Waiting burns away impulsiveness. It burns away fear. It burns away the old version of you that couldn't sit still. Then, eventually, something changes. You look at the chart and you don't feel pressure. You don't feel fear. You don't feel rushed. You feel steady. You observe instead of react. You analyze instead of chase. You wait without suffering. That is the moment you stop being controlled by the market and start mastering it. And when the perfect setup finally appears, you know instantly. The clarity hits you. The structure is clean. The alignment is obvious. The emotional noise disappears. There is no hesitation because the decision isn't emotional anymore. It's logical, calm, confident, natural. The entry doesn't feel like a gamble. It feels like the correct next step. This is the identity shift every trader secretly hopes for. To stop reacting, to start selecting, to stop needing constant movement, to start demanding true alignment, to stop being dragged by emotions, to start being guided by structure and clarity. When this identity forms, patience stops being a struggle. It becomes a superpower. And the more you grow into that identity, the more you realize this truth. The market is full of opportunities, but only the trader who waits can see them.
There comes a moment in every trader's journey where they realize something unsettling. The market is not confusing. They are. The charts haven't changed. The candles haven't changed. The setups haven't changed. What changes is the trader's internal state. One minute they're calm, waiting, observing. The next minute their mind begins spinning stories, imagining danger, fabricating opportunities that don't exist. This internal shift is subtle, and it destroys more trading decisions than any technical pattern ever could. And here's where your mind tightens its grip on you. You see price move just enough to look interesting, but not clear enough to qualify as a real setup. Your logical brain whispers that it's too early, but your emotional brain screams that this might be the moment. A quiet tug of war begins. The chart looks incomplete, but your mind paints it as promising. This conflict creates a strange feeling, a mix of desire, fear, and impatience that blurs your judgment. This is the psychological trap that blinds struggling traders. They think they're analyzing, but they're actually projecting. They think they're reading the market, but they're reading their own impulses. They think they're spotting opportunity, but they're just trying to escape uncertainty. This is the exact moment when traders sabotage themselves, right when the setup is almost there, but not yet ready. The great trading minds understood this better than anyone. Mark Douglas explained that incomplete setups are where emotional illusions thrive. Jesse Livermore only attacked the market when every element aligned with his plan. Alexander Elder taught that entering early is not being clever, it is being careless. Psychota emphasized that impatience is emotional trading disguised as insight. Jack Schwager saw the same pattern in interview after interview. Elite traders wait for confirmation, not temptation. Their consistency came not from intelligence, but from restraint. But the question remains, why does waiting feel harder than losing? If waiting is the key to profit, why does the brain resist it? Neuroscience gives the answer. Your mind constantly predicts outcomes to protect you from uncertainty. When it cannot predict, it creates imaginary narratives to regain control. So when the chart isn't ready, your brain fills the silence with fear of missing out, fear of being late, fear of watching opportunity disappear. The fear of stillness becomes stronger than the fear of loss. You don't rush the market because you want to gamble. You rush because you want relief. Relief from doubt, relief from tension, relief from not knowing whether something will happen. The urge to just take it is not strategy. It's emotional escape disguised as action. And this realization alone can change the way you see every trade. Pro traders don't avoid this urge. They experience it too. They just respond differently. They have trained themselves to view discomfort as part of the process. They embrace uncertainty instead of trying to eliminate it. They understand that waiting is not passive. It is active discipline. It is the moment where a trader earns the right to act. And once this mindset becomes normal, patience becomes power. Imagine a trader who fully embodies this. They sit in front of the chart without tension. They watch the price action unfold without forcing meaning onto every candle. They aren't waiting for excitement. They're waiting for alignment. They don't need the market to move. They need it to make sense. This trader feels no panic during quiet moments, no urgency, no rush. They stand still while the average trader loses control. There is a strange transformation that happens when a trader waits long enough. The need to trade fades. The desire to be right weakens. The emotional noise softens. Your eyes start noticing details you previously missed. The rhythm of highs and lows. The health of the trend. The behavior of momentum. The way candles form pressure or exhaustion. Everything becomes clearer when your mind stops pushing for action. And clarity leads naturally to confidence. Real confidence, not emotional excitement. The kind of confidence that comes from waiting through the uncertainty until the setup becomes undeniable. This confidence doesn't feel loud. It feels quiet, calm, grounded. You don't enter because you're eager. You enter because everything clicks into place. Brian Tracy's insights into habit formation apply directly here. Every time you wait for the full setup, you strengthen the neural pathway that supports discipline. Every time you ignore an incomplete signal, you weaken the emotional patterns that once controlled you. Waiting is not just a trading skill, it is mental rewiring. You are literally teaching your brain to value clarity over urgency. But there is a deeper layer most traders never reach. When you practice waiting, you begin to notice your emotional triggers, the flicker of impatience, the pressure to trade, the fear of missing out. Instead of acting on them, you observe them. You separate emotion from execution. The market stops controlling you because your emotions stop hijacking your decisions. This is where curiosity replaces pressure. Instead of rushing in, you ask better questions. Why is price hesitating here? Why is momentum slowing? Why is this level respected? Why does the market feel uncertain? These questions open the door to deeper understanding. Suddenly, the market isn't a battlefield. It's a conversation. And you begin listening instead of attacking. At this stage, temptation becomes obvious. The moment you see an almost setup, you immediately recognize it as incomplete. The emotional pull becomes weaker. Your vision sharpens. You can literally feel the difference between a real opportunity and a fabricated impulse. This separation is one of the greatest breakthroughs any trader can experience. And then it happens. your first true moment of mastery. You see a setup forming. You feel the urge to take it early, but instead of reacting, you wait. You let the next candle form. You let the market confirm. You let clarity appear. The setup becomes clean. The trade becomes real. And when you enter, the decision feels aligned with logic rather than emotion. This is the difference between amateur traders and elite traders. Amateurs want movement. Professionals want clarity. Amateurs want action. Professionals want timing. Amateurs fear missing out. Professionals fear acting early. The market rewards the second group and punishes the first without mercy. And when you internalize all of this, truly internalize it, you begin transforming from someone who trades to someone who understands the nature of trading. You begin to see patterns not just on the chart, but within yourself. You begin to value patience the way professionals value capital, because patience is capital. You are stepping into the mindset where waiting is no longer something you force, it is something you are.
There comes a stage in a trader's development where the challenge is no longer the strategy, the indicators, or the chart itself. The challenge becomes the internal pressure to act before the market has truly revealed its intentions. This is where most traders break. They see price hovering near an important level, forming what looks like a potential setup, and their mind starts racing. A subtle excitement builds. A quiet fear grows. Your brain begins whispering that this could be the moment, even though the chart hasn't confirmed anything. This is the tipping point where discipline either holds or collapses. And here's where confusion sneaks in again, almost invisibly. You stare at the candles, and suddenly you're unsure whether the setup is forming or failing. Your analysis becomes blurry. The levels you drew earlier look different. The trend feels uncertain. You begin second-guessing your own plan. You start imagining outcomes instead of observing structure. Your brain tries to convince you that the market is sending signals, even though nothing is clear. This confusion is not coming from the chart, it's coming from the emotional noise inside you. This is the moment every struggling trader experiences but rarely recognizes. The market hasn't given a real signal, but your mind has. Your internal fear system is triggering impulses disguised as insights. Neuroscience explains this perfectly. During uncertainty, the brain tries to create meaning even from randomness. It highlights irrelevant candles, exaggerates tiny movements, and transforms incomplete setups into illusions of opportunity. This is why traders often feel like the market tricked them, when in reality, their own mind did. The trader legends knew this battle better than anyone. Jesse Livermore considered the waiting phase the most profitable part of his process. Alexander Elder taught that the market whispers before it speaks clearly, and those whispers are dangerous. Edward Sakota said, emotional impulses disguise themselves as intuition. Mark Douglas warned that the moment before confirmation is when traders enter the most self-deceptive state. Jack Schwager found that the top performers he interviewed had one thing in common. They ignored early indications and waited for undeniable evidence. They didn't try to outsmart the market, they tried to outweight their own impulses. And this is where the real transformation begins, when you start recognizing that hesitation, pressure, and confusion are not signs to trade, but signs to pause. Everything changes. The emotional storm that used to push you toward early entries becomes a signal in itself, a signal that the setup is not ready. The moment your internal state becomes louder than the chart is the moment you must step back, not step in. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine a trader who does not fall for these illusions. They see the same chart, the same movement, the same uncertainty, but they interpret it differently. They don't see pressure, they see information. They don't see urgency, they see incompleteness. They don't see a potential setup, they see a developing structure that still needs time. Their patience is not forced, it's natural. They've trained themselves to trust clarity more than convenience. This shift is subtle, but it's powerful.
When the mind no longer demands action, the chart becomes easier to read. Patterns look clearer. Movements look cleaner. Your judgment stops being cloudy. You stop projecting your hopes onto the chart. You stop seeing danger in stillness. You stop imagining opportunities where none exist. Instead, you begin to see the market as it truly is, not a source of pressure, but a source of information. And when this clarity returns, something else happens. You notice what incomplete setups actually look like. You spot the hesitation in the candles. You see the conflict in the market structure. You recognize the traps forming at liquidity pockets. You sense when momentum is not real momentum, but emotional volatility. You see where the crowd is guessing and where the professionals are waiting. This awareness protects you from the exact mistakes that blow accounts. Brian Tracy's insights on behavior alignment explain why this skill becomes permanent. Once you develop the habit of waiting for full confirmation, your brain begins to rewrite the meaning of uncertainty. Instead of seeing uncertainty as danger, you begin seeing it as neutral. Instead of associating stillness with missed opportunities, you associate stillness with preparation. This rewiring changes how you feel during the waiting phase, which ultimately changes how you trade during the execution phase. But the journey is not without resistance. The mind will still challenge you. There will be days where the market moves strongly without you and frustration spikes. There will be moments where a trade you skipped turns out perfect and doubt creeps in. There will be sessions where waiting feels pointless. But these emotional reactions are not signs of weakness, they're signs that your old identity, the impulsive identity, is dying. Growth often feels like loss before it feels like progress. And yet, there is a turning point, a quiet turning point that arrives unexpectedly. You look at a chart, see something forming, and instead of feeling temptation, you feel curiosity. You ask yourself whether the market is preparing a real move or just testing participants. You observe rather than react. You question rather than chase. Your emotional urgency fades, your objectivity strengthens. You start waiting not because you're controlling yourself, but because the setup simply isn't ready. This is the stage where your trading improves exponentially. You avoid the traps. You avoid the noise. You avoid the emotional spikes that ruin consistency. You begin building a new identity, an identity shaped by clarity, patience, and intention. You no longer identify with the trader who jumps early. You identify with the trader who waits because waiting is part of who they are, not what they're trying to force. And with this identity comes a new kind of confidence, not the loud confidence of excitement, but the quiet confidence of alignment. You trust your process more than the market's movement. You trust your timing more than your urges. You trust your discipline more than your fear. This is the confidence that professional traders operate from, the confidence born from patience, not prediction. And then something remarkable begins to happen. The setups you take start working more frequently. The trades you avoid become more obvious traps. The signals you wait for stand out clearly. Your entries feel cleaner. Your exits feel calmer. Your entire trading experience becomes quieter, smoother, more intentional. You are no longer wrestling with your emotions every time the chart moves. You are guiding yourself through structure instead of being dragged by impulse. And finally, you begin to understand the truth that elite traders have always lived by. The perfect setup is never rushed, never forced, never uncertain. It arrives with clarity. It arrives with alignment. It arrives when the market is ready, not when your emotions are loud.
The market always waits. It never rushes. It never forces anything. But traders, they rush, they force, they push, they chase. And because of that, most never experience what it feels like to step into a trade with absolute clarity. But there comes a moment in every trader's journey when they realize something powerful. The market is not their enemy. Their own impatience is. And when this realization hits, something shifts deep inside them. Not a small shift, a fundamental identity level shift. A shift that changes the way they show up on the charts from that day forward. There's a strange silence before a perfect setup appears, a silence that feels uncomfortable
if your mind is addicted to action. But that same silence becomes peaceful when you've trained your psychology to operate like a professional. This is where the real transition begins, the transition from needing to be in the market to needing to be right with yourself. Most traders never reach this place because they interpret silence as danger. Pro traders interpret silence as preparation. This difference becomes the entire foundation of their consistency. And here's something the market hopes you never understand. The longer you wait, the more accurate your decisions become. The more patient you become, the less emotional weight you carry. Neuroscience confirms this. The brain functions with higher precision when stress is low, uncertainty is embraced, and outcomes are not rushed. Waiting is not a passive act. Waiting is active discipline. Waiting builds neural strength. Waiting shapes your identity as a trader who no longer reacts, but responds. But there's something else hidden beneath this level of discipline, a deeper truth. The perfect setup is never just a pattern. It's never just a candle formation or a level or a signal. It's an alignment of your internal world with the external market. Most traders only look for structure. Pro traders look for structure and state. Structure is what the chart shows. State is what the mind brings. When both meet, the edge becomes real. There is a moment in every perfect setup where time seems to slow down. Your breathing settles, your vision sharpens, your internal dialogue becomes calm. There is no rush, no fear glitch, no hidden impulse masked as confidence. This moment is not random. It is the result of countless hours of failing, learning, refining, and rebuilding. As Brian Tracy teaches, your results are shaped by your dominant habits, and this calm presence becomes one of the most powerful habits a trader can build. But before you experience this calmness consistently, you have to dismantle the biggest psychological trap traders fall into: the illusion that more trades equal more progress. This illusion destroys careers. It convinces you that waiting is weakness, that not trading means you're missing out, that the market is leaving without you. But here's the paradox. The market rewards the ones who enter the least, not the most. It rewards those who can watch a setup form for hours, maybe days, without touching anything. This restraint becomes your competitive advantage. The legendary traders who shaped modern trading understood this deeply. Douglas dedicated his entire framework to internal control. Livermore mastered the art of waiting even when the world doubted him. Elder emphasized self-management before market management. Seikoda proved that trading success is more psychological than technical. If you read between the lines of their experiences, you'll notice a pattern. They won because they waited. Still, even with all this wisdom, your mind will try to sabotage you. It will whisper things that sound logical but are entirely emotional. It will say, "What if you miss this move? What if this is the one? What if you're too slow?" And in those moments, you will feel a tension rising in your chest. That tension is not coming from the market. It is coming from a part of you that has not yet learned the value of patience. And until you confront that part, you will always feel pulled toward unnecessary trades. Here's the strange twist. Once you accept that missing a move is not a failure, your trading transforms. Your fears shrink. Your confidence stabilizes. Your mind stops chasing opportunities and starts selecting them. You stop being a participant and start becoming a strategist. This is where your emotional maturity finally catches up with your technical ability. And once they match, you unlock a version of yourself you didn't know existed. Waiting becomes easier. Passing on mediocre setups becomes normal. Entering only when everything aligns becomes natural. You begin to walk away from the charts with calmness rather than regret. Your risk management becomes tighter. Your entries become cleaner. Your exits become more rational. You start to feel like the market is slowing down for you, even though it hasn't changed at all. The only thing that changed was you. But patience alone is not enough. You need pattern recognition, conviction, and the ability to sit through uncertainty without panicking. The perfect setup is not just about entering at the right time. It is about staying composed after entering. This is where neuroscience and trading psychology merge. A calm nervous system allows you to see the chart for what it is, not what you fear it might become. A balanced state allows you to ride the wave instead of fighting it. At this stage, your identity rewires itself. You are no longer a trader who hopes. You are a trader who observes. You are no longer a trader who guesses. You are a trader who waits. You are no longer a trader who falls for emotional traps. You are a trader who sees them through. Waiting becomes your strength. Precision becomes your normal. Consistency becomes your character. But the market will still test you. It will still send fake setups, emotional traps, tempting impulses, and sudden volatility. It will still try to pull you back into old habits. But now you carry something different, a deep awareness. You see the trap before stepping into it. You feel the emotional trigger before reacting to it. You recognize the impatience before it picks up momentum. This is the unseen advantage most traders never achieve. You start viewing time differently. You realize that every second you do not trade is as valuable as the second you do. You understand that the market is a marathon, not a sprint. You begin to value longevity more than quick wins. You start thinking like a professional because you have trained yourself like one. Your trading desk becomes a place of clarity, not chaos. Your decisions become intentional instead of emotional. This identity shift begins spilling into the rest of your life. You become patient with yourself. You become more strategic in your thinking. You become calmer under pressure. You start performing better not only as a trader, but as a person. This is the real reward of waiting. Not just better trades, but stronger mind. Not just bigger wins, but deeper self-control. With this new identity, the perfect setups start revealing themselves more clearly, not because the market changed, but because your perception evolved. You see opportunities with a sharper eye. You see traps with a stronger mind. You feel the tempo of the market instead of fighting it. You adapt, evolve, and grow. And slowly, you become the trader you once admired from afar. And now, as you step into this new version of yourself, remember one thing. The market rewards those who wait with discipline, clarity, and purpose. You are no longer chasing randomness. You are building mastery. You are aligning your mind with the rhythm of the market. And when you do that consistently, the market begins to respect you. If this message helped you grow, learn, or transform your mindset even a little bit, make sure you subscribe to Mind for Trade, because this journey is just beginning and you deserve to master it.